Stop the madness. Keep it 100. The best talk show on the web is here on STMK Radio 100 with your hosts, Sean L., Let, and Tone the Stone. Come join us from 6 to 8 p.m. Mondays through Fridays. Stop the madness. Keep it 100 with live call-ins, heated discussions about current events, politics, national news, weather, and sports. Join our live online chat room and let your opinion show. Download our phone app. Stop the madness. Keep it 100 on STMK Radio 100. Come join us from 6 to 8 p.m. Mondays through Fridays. The best talk show on the web is here on STMK Radio 100. Call us at 1-866-484-7865. That's 1-866-484-STMK. Stop the madness. Keep it 100. At the Table with Reverend Bill Miller on STMK Radio 100. Check out Reverend Bill Miller's Bible Study radio broadcast live on the new STMK Radio 100 at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Please listen in and support him as he joins the realm of broadcasting to encourage believers and offer the comfort of God to others across the airwaves. At the Table with Reverend Bill Miller on STMK Radio 100. Also, feel free to contact him for prayer, counseling, and conversation at brobill9608@yahoo.com. That's BROBILL 9608@yahoo.com. At the Table with Reverend Bill Miller on STMK Radio 100.
STMK Radio 100. You're listening to Stop the Madness, Keep It 100 with your hosts, Sean L., Let, and Tone the Stone on STMK Radio 100.
PSA, a public street announcement. You are now listening to a Kickback production. Light up your L's, lean back, and listen.
Good evening and welcome. I'm your host, Sean L. Tonight, we're going to talk about the failed ACA vote, Trump, and his boycott with the NFL, which has turned it upside down. We're going to talk with a mother who is heartbroken and want to speak out and warn parents about allowing their kids around people. We also going to go with D Knows around the NFL for 3 minutes. And then we're going into the chat room. Welcome, Facebook Live, YouTube, and our 17 cities. We are hooking up right here. Saxman, our man on the beat's going to be with us also. In Studio 51 with me tonight is my man, Tone the Stone. And Tone the Stone is sitting up here. Tone, what's up with you?
What's going on, Sean? What's going on?
Yeah, you go ahead and get settled in. On the phone with us is a mother who wants to warn all the parents after her 5-year-old was raped by a black male activist who volunteered for an organization called Peace in the Hood. We're just going to call her Nikki Deveron. She wants all the parents to know her pain so they would not have to experience it. 18-year-old Antoine Miles was arrested by the Cleveland Police Department and charged with rape. Miles, according to the leader of the Cleveland community organization Peace in the Hood, stated that he was a client and volunteer with the group. The leader failed to tell everyone if he was a member. We reached out to him, Tone, and they didn't get back with us, so I guess they just going to go with the flow.
Right.
He further said that Miles' mother left him and abandoned him as a young child, so the organization adopted him for 10 years and provided service with him. They also said he never was around children unsupervised. And Nikki says she wants to get her daughter justice and want to share her story as a reminder to all parents to watch their kids and ask questions.
Our friend. When you hear about it, it makes you sick. It makes you sick. You know what I'm saying? It makes you sick to the stomach. A 5-year-old child, a helpless 5-year-old child. It's like, this is my 5-year-old baby. We are celebrating the fact that she's in kindergarten. It really makes you question everybody around you. Has had her innocence taken away from her. It really makes you question everybody around you.
On the phone with us is Nikki. Nikki, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, and you?
Doing fine. We want to welcome you to Stop the Madness and keep it 100. Also, we want to send out our condolences and everything to you and your daughter. And before we even start, we want to make sure that your daughter's getting all the counseling and treatment and everything that she's supposed to get.
Yes, she is.
Okay, Nikki, you know, we are a live internet radio show, and we got a lot of people in the chat room. So why don't you tell us why you want to come out and tell us what's going on?
Basically, hi to everybody before I start speaking. I really want to come out because I've seen this situation too many times before where people feel like they just want to like sweep stuff under the rug and they don't really want to take it public because they're worried about how other people will judge them or how they'll look at the situation. And I just feel like that's not the route that I want to take with my daughter. I wanted my daughter to know that I love her and I want justice for her, and also that this is important to me, you know, because like a lot of times in situations like this where a parent is just pushing something under the rug, it could to the kid look like it's not really that big of a deal because we're not dealing with it head on like I am right now. This is serious to me, this is important to me, and I would never want my daughter to think anything other than that as far as this. And I just want parents to realize that it's okay to stick up for your child and yourself in situations like that. You don't have to be afraid to do that. Don't let anyone talk you out of anything. If you feel like this is what you need to do for you and your child, then you go ahead and you do it, and you do it proudly like I will be doing.
Now, in the chat room, we are Facebook Live. Welcome, Facebook Live. YouTube. Orlando is in the house with us. Let me ask you this question. Your daughter was next door playing with a friend?
Yes.
Okay, and she was getting ready to go to kindergarten, I think you said, or first grade?
Well, she's actually already enrolled in kindergarten, and we were actually celebrating that because she just started.
Okay, so when she came home, what made you feel something was wrong, or what made you even talk to her about it? Was she acting a certain way, or was you feeling a certain way?
She wasn't acting a certain way in particular. She just had something different on her, a physical mark, which got my attention.
Oh, okay.
And it startled me. And so because it startled me, it just, I mean, as a mother, you're going to automatically just start asking questions when you see something that looks suspicious like that, you know?
Okay, so you sit down and you talk with her.
Yes.
Did your daughter understand when you started talking with her? She shared everything with you. Did she actually understand what was going on?
I brought her. I told her, come to sit with me, and we sat down, and I went very slowly. because this is the type of situation where you don't want to have any misunderstandings. You know what I'm saying? So, yes, I definitely.
So,
excuse me, I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Well, oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, so have you had your stranger danger talk with your daughter?
Honestly, we've had the stranger danger talk. We've had the no-no zones. That's what we call them talk. And honestly, to be 100% truthful with you, I was very confident that if a situation like this would have arise, she would tell me. I was very confident in that. And that's why I'm trying to tell these parents, like, even if you're super confident when you have these conversations with your kids, if you feel like something's off with your child, if you see something off with your child, just go ahead and ask questions, because my baby didn't willingly come and tell me this. You know what I'm saying? I had to dig deep.
Oh, you had to dig deep.
There was nothing wrong.
We've seen some of the stuff where this is not the first show that you've been on, so I want everybody to know this is she has really taken on this issue of child abuse, and she's really out there trying to get parents to understand. Not only do you have to talk to your kids about stranger in danger, but you have to talk to your kids. You heard her say the no-no zones, and her daughter was educated on that. She's only 5. But she was aware enough if somebody set her down to talk to her where she could explain what was going on. So my question is also with the Peace in the Hood. I want to go in here because as Peace in the Hood and black on black crime and all them, their job is they go out into the community talking about protecting our black women and our kids. And I hate for that organization to be labeled by something that one person done. So I want to ask you a question. If you don't feel like answering, you don't have to. But my question is it more or less a misunderstanding with Peace in the Hood that they didn't reach out to you as a black mother and let you know that they didn't condone this? Or is there something else going on where this organization is not owning up to their motto and what they're supposed to do?
I honestly think it's a little of both. Like I said, I'm not here to bash anyone. But with an organization like that, and I go on a website and they say that one of their main goals is justice, stop the violence against the kids and things like that. Okay, I understand that this young man was affiliated with you guys. But if anything, I feel like that's the reason for them to step out here even more, because this is someone that you've been working with for his whole life, basically. And for me to go to that page and I see all the crimes from every other story except this one. Like, what does he say? See something, say something, and you're seeing this and you're saying absolutely nothing at all, which to me is a little suspicious. I don't know. I feel like they skipping over this. They're not saying anything about it. And I feel like if you're supposed to be a voice and advocating for other people, such as me, a single black woman, and my child has been violated, why would you not speak for me too? Is it because of someone that's affiliated with you? Or these are questions that I've been asking myself.
And these are questions that we're asking for you, okay? It's time for us with a platform to step out and call it the way it is. And it's time for our black men to start taking seriously their responsibility in the community. We are a community-based talk show, podcast show. We go all over 17 cities. We all over social internet and social media. And it's time, people, for us to really stop the madness. And I'm serious about this. I know that's the name of my show, but I'm serious about this. We're allowing our elderly people to be carjacked and abused. We're allowing our kids to can't go to school. We're allowing people to walk through our communities and kill at will, and we won't say nothing. Okay, we have organizations such as Black on Black Crime and Peace in the Hood. Their motto is to protect the black community, but I think they need to step up like the Panthers did and start protecting our kids and our black women. And right here, Nikki, have the city and social services stepped up and given you all the help you need?
Actually, surprisingly, yes, they have been very great help to me. One organization in particular that I've been having the most help from will be Rape Crisis. They've been very, very, very helpful for me and my daughter at this time.
And have you reached out to anybody else for help, such as University Hospital or any of those other organizations?
Well, we did go to actual Fairview, and they're doing her medical services there.
Oh,
Actually,
okay. So everybody's
yep.
reached out. Now, what would you personally? You said you feel like it's a little bit of both. So, uh,
Yeah.
I'm one person right here, so I'm gonna say this, and I say this about police. I say this about because we got Tony Stone with us, and he knows it. I'm one person. I don't like to say all, and I like to separate. Okay, and
Right.
peace in the hood and black on black crime has set a standard. And if you're going to set that standard, you have to live by that standard. Okay. If you're going to say all police officers bad, all white people are racist, then you have to set that standard to come back into your organization. So I'm gonna reach out to the president of Peace in the Hood, and I'm going to send him some emails, and I'm going to express your concerns. It's not so much that you're blaming his organization, but it's so much that he hasn't taken the time to come to a black mother whose young child was done wrong by a, I don't know what a client volunteer is, but he's out there with Peace in the Hood in the streets, carrying their flag,
Mhm.
holding up their motto. And I think that he needs to step up and touch base with you, because this misunderstanding can hurt his organization, period. Because if he's not going to step up for a black mother who had a child violated by one of his members, one of his volunteers, one of his clients, he has to step up and take the high road and show that he cares. If he can't do that for you, he can't do that for me. He can't do that for the black community. He can't do that for nobody else. So we really need him to step up and come that. And Clan, I know you're listening, because we send you the things telling you that we was going to do this show today. As a leader in the community that you want to be, and the changes that you want to make, one of your members did something very, very bad. You need to step up, knock on this young lady's door, take the time to hold her hand and apologize, and let her know that your organization does not stand for pedophiles, would not stand for black women or children being misused, and that you would stand with her, and that you would call for justice with her. You will be standing outside the Justice Center with her. If you cannot do that, your organization need to fold. Okay, and that's just that simple. I see my girl Sister X is on Facebook Live. Sister X, yes, they need to stand up and they need to come out. And we, as black people in the community, need to stop having a double
Mhm.
standard. If our people do something wrong, or somebody in our community do something wrong, it's time to stand up and call them out. So Denise, I'm sorry, I called you Sister X name because I just read out. Nikki, what do you really want to say to parents about your situation that you're going through, to give them the advice so they can understand what to look for and how to get their kids in a position to tell you about the no zones and stranger danger?
I would say, firstly, never be too confident in how well you know your child. Never be too confident. Like, always question. Because, like I told you, I was super confident that if something like this was to happen, she would tell me. Just be on your child and ask your child questions and watch them. Like, I can't express that enough. But along with watching, you really still have to communicate with your children and ask them questions. If you were in a position like this and you wanted to speak with your child about something like this, I just spoke to my daughter in a calm manner, and I just tried to show her that she could trust me to tell me, like I wouldn't be angry with her. I just want to know what's going on for her safety. I just had to let her feel that I was her mom, I love her, I care about her, and I'm just asking her these questions because I want to help her. And I didn't make her feel uncomfortable with telling me the information. Yeah.
Well, you have one of the best, and I'm not saying this lightly. You have one of the best sex crime units in the country on your case. Okay, and I really want to say that, and I want everybody to know that I personally work with some of those guys, and I know that they will give your case 110%, and they're real good about what they do, and they will reach out to you. They'll walk you through. So I know that you are going to get the services and stuff. Now, on the organizations, as you have stepped out as an activist, are you going to go around to schools, or are you going to step out on other platforms, and are you going to continue to voice your concerns out so other young mothers will be aware what's going on?
honestly, after this situation, when this first happened, I felt like I wasn't going to say anything. I just was angry and I was just mad. So I just felt like I wasn't going to do anything. I was just, I wasn't going to talk to anyone. I wasn't going to do a news interview. I wasn't going to do anything. But after thinking about it and after having people reach out to me and tell me their stories, I feel like I'll definitely step out on other platforms. I'll speak wherever they need me to speak, whether it's a school, a church, anywhere where they need someone, I'll be there. I will probably do this for the rest of my life now. I am forever changed by this, but for the better, though.
So, before we end this interview, is there anything you would like to say to our audience, especially here in Cleveland, Ohio, about your concerns and your activism?
I would say, don't be scared. Never, ever, ever be scared to stand up for yourself, and definitely never, ever, ever be scared to advocate for your children, because when you become parents, you become advocates for your children. We represent them when they can't represent themselves, like my 5-year-old baby. So don't be afraid to stand up for yourself. Get out there, speak out, because this is the only way that we can start to prevent things like this from happening. As unfortunate as it is, we have to start with us.
Well, Nikki, we first we want to let everybody know that we are calling her Nikki. If you know her or whatever, we don't give names out for abused kids or family members that's been involved in domestic violence situations. That's our policy here at STMK Radio 100. But Nikki, if you need anything, we want you to reach out to us. We do want you to come back and let us know how your daughter's doing. We also want you to understand that if you want to come in studio, or we have a private studio that we probably can set you up in, if you want to come in and sit down and talk about any training that you've taken or anything that you're doing in the future to do your activism, we really want to hear from you, and we really want to help you and support you and get you out there. And we appreciate you sharing your personal story with us today here on Stop the Madness and Keep It 100.
Thank you for letting me tell my story. Thank you. Because of you, so many other people will hear it. So thank you.
Yes, and we have police officers in Facebook Live, and if you need anything or if you need any help, they're telling us to give you their personal phone numbers, and we will pass the information and share it off for you. And we thank you very much, and kiss your daughter for her, and let her know that everybody's there wishing her well. And if we can do anything, you have our number. Reach out and touch base with us.
I definitely will. Thank you so much for everything, and God bless you all.
All right, Nikki.
God bless you too, you and your daughter.
That was Nikki Devereux on the phone with us here in Cleveland, Ohio. Everybody's talking about that case. And I'm going to say that again to the president of Peace in the Hood. I'm not going to say his name, but I'm going to say this. As a leader, if you want to be a leader, okay, I'm going to say this. I'm not going to say as a leader. If you want to be a leader, you cannot come out against police brutality, police injustice, and not speak about black men or men's period taking advantage of young black girls. You're supposed to be the protector of our neighborhoods. You're supposed to be the one out there carrying the flag that's supposed to take the fight for justice. You did this for years. Don't let us down. Don't disappoint us, because if you don't touch base with that young lady, your organization is going to have to fold.
You're right, Sean, and she's right. This is the perfect opportunity for that organization and the leader in particular, the president in particular, to let everybody know how serious they are about, making their presence felt and not tolerating none of the nonsense, whether it's police brutality or whether it's the knuckleheads in the neighborhood. And even more, that they're not even going to tolerate none of this madness from people who are affiliated and associated with them. So this is the perfect example for them to show how serious they are.
That's
about
right.
what they're doing.
And I'm serious about that. They have to come out. They have to come out. Sister X, I understand that you are already disappointed, and we have always talked about that. We have Sister X in Facebook Live. Welcome for being with us on Stop the Madness, Keep It 100. But Tony Stone, so much is going on now,
always something going on.
Always something going on. Trump, the NFL, Trump in Puerto Rico. We're going to talk about that in our Racial Injustice Part 3 and later on in the hour. But, I want to say this because last week, Trump called black women bitches.
Did he?
Yes, he did.
I missed that one.
And I'm going to take the high road on this, and I want everybody else to come back around.
Is that an official story?
No, it's official. I heard. I listened to. Matter of fact, you're going to hear it yourself.
I mean, I know that guy is a little Looney Tunes, but I know he's not that.
Yeah,
he's not that wild.
Yeah,
is
he that wild. He that wild. But I'm going to say he phrased it in the wrong way when he was trying to make his argument. When he said, "Son of a bitches," I'm going to
okay.
try to say that
Okay, right.
he was talking about black women,
Right.
okay,
right,
and he
right,
meant it the
right,
way he said it.
Right. Okay.
But I'm going to say that he misspoke at the woman. He spoke it, but he was in front of a riled up crowd.
Every time he opens his mouth, he misspeaks. So
Yes, he does. But I want to say this, people, and we went to the VA this week, and we talked to about 50 veterans, a lot of veterans, and you're going to hear from a couple of the veterans. And I want to say this: we posted up Tone one of the interviews.
mm-hmm.
When veterans won't respect other veterans' views, we have a problem.
Right.
I tell everybody to watch Public Broadcast System series that's going on right now, Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you watch that, believe it or not, we're living that all over again. Your government lying to you. People not respecting other people's views. The same people that is calling Cap and people nasty names and everything was the same people in the 60s that was spitting on soldiers coming home, calling them baby killers.
Mm-hmm.
You ought to really watch that series because it's mind-boggling that we're living that time all over again. Cities burning, police officers fighting with the community, riots, soldiers in the streets, D.C. on fire. I lived through that. Okay.
I'm a firm believer that it's always going on. You know, it might be periods of time, like every 40, 50, 60 years, however long, where it comes to the spotlight. But it's always going on as far as the government lying and, you know, the bigotry and the racism and the everything. That's a non-stop cycle.
But if you, for
society.
young people like you, your age, that was born in the 80s, that this may be like Star Trek in the space to you, watch that series and you really learn something about civil government and what's going on.
Okay.
But the thing what I want to say is I want to go back to this with Cap, okay? I stand with Cap for one reason. I believe that everybody in this country has the right to protest, have the right to say what they believe. They don't have the right to burn down the building. They don't have a right to throw a brick and hit you in the head. But if they're going to sit on public square or set themselves on fire like the monks did in Vietnam, that's their right. Okay?
Now those were some strong guys.
Right, because they believe in their beliefs.
Right.
We're going to talk about that coming back down. But this is the problem I have. Last year, Cap sat on the bench for 11 games. Nobody recognized. He sat in front of maybe 56 million people watching TV. 7 different stadiums. And what the stadiums hold? 80,000 people. So we're talking about close to 1 million people live in stadium watching him. And nobody even recognized what was going on. They didn't care. Okay? We went to the stadiums this week, Cleveland Stadium. We went to the Brown Stadium. When the national anthem was playing, you had people getting hot dogs. You had people drinking beer. You had people playing on the cell phones. You had nobody cared.
Right.
Okay? All of a sudden, one reporter asked Cap, because he thought he was hurt, why are you sitting on the bench? Cap clearly gave his statement, okay? And he clearly said it wasn't against the soldiers. It wasn't against the flag. He clearly stated why he was doing this. And all of a sudden now, 85,000 people, 100,000 outside, who never cared or what he was doing, how he was doing, have now lost their mind. They're calling veterans, World War II veterans, senile. A man who fought in a bloody war, probably the worst war we ever had besides World War I. And they're disrespecting him. We have a letter that was sent to us after we post this from a veteran, and I just want to say this. From a veteran, to you, the national anthem means one thing. To Colin Kaepernick, it means something else. We are all shaped and defined by our experience, and we see the world through our own eyes. That freedom, that liberty, the right to believe differently, the right to protest as you will, the right to demand better, the right to believe your country can be better. That's it. That's what I live up to, and that's the sacrifice that my friends made who died with me in war. They didn't die for you to tell somebody how good of a patriot they are. And I'm going to stop right there. That young man just said, this young man that sent us this letter right here, there go the letter I want everybody to say, says that his friends that did not come back home from war, and I'm pretty thinking he's talking about the Vietnam War, did not die for Sean Howard to tell you, Tony, what type of patriot you are.
Right.
Okay? He goes on to say that the right to loudly note what is wrong is not wrong. The right to use your voice, your action, to bring attention to things you believe in. The right to want more for others. Freedom, liberty, justice, and equality and respect. A true veteran will fight to the death to protect Colin Kaepernick's right to say what he believes. If you don't like Colin Kaepernick and what he has to say, then prove him wrong. Be a nation that he can respect. It's really just that simple.
Right.
And to that veteran, I appreciate you sending that, because we talked to them about that. And we went to VA, and we talked to a lot of veterans. And the one veteran that we talked to really, really struck in my mind. But when Donald Trump called the players son of a bitches, talking about their mothers, that went across the line. Jerry Jones and everybody was talking about, you remember how Dallas would never kneel down? Jerry Jones was going to fire any player that knelt down. Everybody's eye was on Monday night. Jerry Jones was a businessman. You saw Jerry Jones kneel down.
Yep.
Okay? He went with his players and he made everybody kneel down. Even the same coach that said, my players are not going to participate in any type of protest. You saw him kneeling down on sidelines also. Then they stood for the national anthem. Now, I'm going to say this. As being a police officer and in law enforcement for 32 years, I don't know where anybody got this from. The American flag has nothing to do with me being a police officer.
Right.
Now, in 2001, we added the first responders to respect them for responding to the terrorist act at the Twin Towers. I can understand that and I can respect that, but that was in 2001. Okay? We have to understand the flag is for veterans, people who gave their lives to go overseas, coming back home with no legs, in body bags. That's what the flag is about. And to the people that start talking about that.
Well, I have to disagree with you there, Sean. The flag is for all of it.
Well, I'm
veterans, citizens of this country, for all of
that.
us. And the protests, when it all comes down, you just made a perfect point. You know, make these people feel like they can respect this nation. You know, instead of criticizing them for protesting, for exercising their right to protest, make them feel welcome. You know, reach out to them and say, hey, maybe we don't agree. We don't understand why you feel so oppressed. Maybe we don't agree with your opinion on police brutality and whatnot.
Right.
Okay. But welcome them, and make them feel better. Make them feel as a part of your team. Make them feel like they're welcome and they're respected here in this nation. You know, and that's what it's about. That flag represents everybody, every natural-born American citizen.
That's what I wanted to go to.
Or not even natural-born, just American citizens.
That's what I want to go to. The flag is for all citizens, not one certain profession, and our military veterans. That's where I'm going with the chat room, because the chat room just talking about then the window washers, okay, and on down. That's what I'm trying to get everybody to say. All citizens, okay, we all honor our flag. We all have our own different ways, okay. The other thing, what I want to talk about, Tony Stone, is that where are we going to go from here
As far as
as a nation? Because we're broken. We are more broken now, and we're going to the point of people actually going to be fighting in the streets as in 1968. Okay, I'm serious about it. We're
they're doing it already.
right. We're so broken right now, and all we need is just one linchpin to light the match. But Donald Trump said this, and we're going to go right into that, Tony Stone. So check this out, because evidently you ain't been around. So we're gonna go into our interviews. We're going to go around the world to see what everybody's saying about the NFL protests and what they have to say. And then we're going to go to our interviews with some Vietnam vets from the VA.
See one of these NFL owners, when somebody disrespects our flag, to say, get that son of a off the field right now, out, he's fired.
Colin Kaepernick takes a knee during the National Anthem in San Francisco last year. We noticed, but very few players joined him. Not many players seem to care. He can't get a job in the NFL now, and very few have said much about that either. But the president says he wants that peaceful protest to stop. Says those players should be fired if they take a knee during the anthem, and calls those players a name I never thought I'd live long enough to hear a president say, and now everybody cares. Donald Trump has said he supports a peaceful protest because it's an American's right, but not this protest, and there's the problem. Any protest you don't agree with is a protest that should be stopped. Martin Luther King should have marched across a different bridge. Young black Americans should have gone to a different college and found a different lunch counter. And college kids in the 60s had no right to protest an immoral war. I served in the military during the Vietnam War, and my foot hurt too. But I served anyway. My best friend in high school was killed in Vietnam, and Carol Meyer will be 18 years old forever, and he did not die, so that you could decide who is a patriot and who loves America more. The young black athletes are not disrespecting America or the military by taking a knee during the anthem. They are respecting the best thing about America. It's a dog whistle to the racist among us to say otherwise. They and all of us should protest how black Americans are treated in this country. And if you don't think white privilege is a fact, you don't understand America. The comedian Chris Rock says it best. There's not a white man in America who would trade places with him, and he's rich. It has not gone unnoticed that Trump has spoken out against the Mexicans who want to come to America for a better life, against the Muslims, and now against the black athlete. But he says nothing for days about the white man who marched under a Nazi flag in Charlottesville, except to remind us there were good people there. And when he finally tried to say the right thing, not one of them was called an SOB or should be fired. We have white men in America who wave the Nazi flag and the Confederate flag, and he's concerned about taking a knee because it disrespects this flag. We use that flag to sell mattresses and beer. We wear it as a swimsuit. We wrap our bald heads in a flag bandana and stick it in our pants because we disrespect that flag every day. Maybe we all need to read the Constitution again. There has never been a better use of pen to paper. Our forefathers made freedom of speech the First Amendment. They listed 10, and not one of them says you have to stand during the anthem. And I think those men respected the country they fought for and founded a great deal more than the self-proclaimed patriots who are simply hypocrites because they want to deny the basic freedom of this great country, a country they supposedly value and cherish so much.
Was politically charged even before the president insulted the nation's most prominent athletes.
NFL, the coaches, the players, the owners, the fans, everyone that had anything or any association with the NFL yesterday was unbelievable. It was solidarity, and there was no divide. There's no divide, even from that guy that continues to try to divide us as people. And like I said on one of my social media platforms a couple days ago, the thing that kind of frustrated me and pissed me off a little bit is the fact that he used sport. He used the sports platform to try to divide us. And sports is so it's so amazing what sports can do for everyone, no matter the shape or size or race or ethnicity or religion or whatever. People find teams, people find players, people find colors because of sport, and they just gravitate towards that, and it just make them so happy.
Always are. If you could talk to the president, what would you say to the president about all this stuff?
I would say he should apologize.
What keeps getting lost in the criticisms of the form of the protest is the message of inequality.
Now, we talked to a 96-year-old World War II veteran, Philip Pulaski. And his views is going to shock everybody. And I want everybody to know this. This is a white Caucasian veteran whose parents came over here from Europe. He was born in 1925, and he was drafted in the World War II, where he served on Normandy beaches and Germany. And he is very, very straight-pointed to how he feels about what's going on. And he's telling me that he did not go to war or go overseas for people to be controlled and told how to live. And I want you to listen to him in his own voice. Here at the VA today, we're talking with veterans, and we have one veteran who is a World War II veteran, one of the last here. As a veteran, what did you go to war for?
I was drafted.
Oh, you was drafted. What you think about people kneeling down when the American anthem is being played at games?
This is a free country. Do what you want to do.
As a veteran, do you think that you went to war for them to stand up to a flag?
Do what you think you have to do.
So your feeling as being a World War II veteran is that they do whatever they feel like they have to do?
That's right.
Where did you, when you went to, what branch of service were you
in? Army.
What is your feeling about all the police killings and shootings that's going on around the country?
It ought to be stopped.
You said it ought to be stopped? The killing of unarmed black men by police?
The government is stepping there and the courts are stepping there, and they can stop this thing.
How long was you in the service during World War II?
4 years.
4 years? As a veteran sitting here, back here in America, do you think America has treated the veterans the way they should be treated? And
no.
Where do you think they should receive better care and benefits?
More benefits, yes.
That's here at the VA. We talk with a veteran. You heard a veteran in his own words, not ours.
Well, unfortunately, I have to disagree with the police union on the way they wanted to handle that. Certainly, they're just protesting just as bad as the football players that they're claiming disrespecting the flag. Quite frankly, Sean, what people need to clearly understand is in America, even as a former soldier, and let me say this, I did serve my country, so I certainly have a right to an opinion. But as a soldier, I went to defend people's right to speak out when there is injustice. I defended the right for folks to disagree with their government. I defended the right for people to protest in a free society. I'm not offended by someone kneeling or praying during the anthem. I'm not offended at it by all. It's a form of protest. It's something that's guaranteed by the United States Constitution. Quite frankly, in one word, what it is freedom. We can't be hypocritical and say that you're only free so far. That's where I'm at. some folks certainly want to disagree, and that's fine. They're free to do that. It's freedom. This is America. We have to listen to each other. And the issue that brought us to this point is the way that we treat each other.
Now, you heard this veteran tell us what he thinks. So people stop putting the veterans involved into this fight. They do not want to be in the middle of this fight. They have their own suffering. They have their own beliefs. Everybody has a right to express themselves. Everybody has a right to an opinion. This is not about the veterans and the American flag. This is about police brutality and equality. And let's keep it on that, and let's sit down and talk as a community to make things better for all who lives within that community. Now, Tone Stone, you heard that old guy. He expressed himself very well. And the problem that I have, as everybody else said, we need a dialogue. We need to sit down and stop talking at each other, talking around each other. And as one veteran told me, we need to listen with the intent to understand instead of to respond. And I think if people do that, we can stop all this divide, because it's clear that President Trump has set himself in a position, and I don't like the way it's going, and I don't like where we're going back to. And I lived through it in the 60s, and I lived up under Jim Crow law. Okay, so I want everybody to understand, I was born back in the 50s. In the 60s, I lived through Jim Crow law right here in the city of Cleveland, in the Glenville neighborhood. So I understand how nasty it can get, and I can understand why people was fighting for the change. Okay, and I thought we had that fight already, but apparently we didn't.
Right. Well, yeah, we did, but I guess we've regressed or whatever you want to call it. But I think we could talk all day long. We could come on these radio shows. We could talk. Everybody's got opinions. Everybody's got ideas. But there's as long as the hateful people on both sides, no matter what, they black, they white, they in the streets, they cops, they politicians. The hateful people, they gotta go, man. We gotta get them out of here.
We gotta clean house.
If you wanna live in a pure white society, go somewhere in Antarctica. If you wanna be in a pure black society, go somewhere in the jungles of Africa where you're not gonna find too many white people. Everybody else, leave us and let us, continue to participate in our great country. All the rest of y'all go somewhere and take your problems with you, because we don't, you getting the rest of us caught up in the middle of your nonsense.
And that's really wild, because we're going back around the NFL, because everybody right now is waiting tonight to see what happens in the NFL. And I want to say something that everybody don't understand either. When they talk about the NFL ratings are going down and stuff, no, people, you're on Facebook right now. People do not watch TV anymore. People do not listen to radio anymore. They do streaming. That's what we're doing. We're streaming our show on internet radio. We're streaming our show across social media. That's the new thing now. Nelson cannot rate what's going on because everybody's watching on their smartphone, streaming, and plus everybody has the NFL Sunday ticket, which goes through another company through their satellite. So they can't, how many times they're going to count that satellite?
Right.
Okay, so that's the biggest thing. But everybody's eyes on there. Now, the Seattle Seahawks wide receiver, Doug Baldwin, because we went him through the NFL, and D knows is going to take us around the NFL in a minute and 3 minutes. So, D, stand by so you can take us. If wide receiver Doug Baldwin of the Seattle Seahawks said this: if America can't air their grievances to the republic for which it stands, then where can they air their grievances? And when you have a president of our country basically saying, I don't want to hear your protests, I don't want to hear your grievances, then what you think is going to happen there? Okay.
He said he don't even have no business speaking. All this stuff he got going on, Korea and healthcare.
We're going to talk about that in about an hour, too. We got some good things because we're going to talk about the Jones Act that should have been enacted 8 days ago. Puerto Rico's suffering, and we want to send our thoughts and prayers out to the people of Puerto Rico, and hopefully now that the military has convinced the president to do the right thing to help and everything gets there to help them. But we're going to talk about that in the second hour, people. So stick with us because we're going to talk about the Jones Act that nobody knew about.
Do when they get elected president, do they have to get a full physical health check and make sure they of sound state in mind? And
well,
whatever?
You know what? There again, I'm going to say this. I'm not blaming Donald Trump or his 30% backers for anything they do. 47% of Americans sit at home.
Mm-hmm.
Another 15 million Americans voted third party. They allowed this to happen. Mm-hmm. They wanted it to happen. Bernie or bust people, the Bernie bros, they want to burn down the Republic. Okay, and guess what? They're burning down the Republic. Okay, they got a little help. We got 3 hurricanes that came through, So they wanted this. They got it.
Destroy and rebuild. That's where we
because my thing is, if you didn't want this, you would have got up, went to the polls, you would have voted. Okay? They got up and went to the polls and voted. We're going to talk about cross-check coming into the things. James, the second hour after the commercial, you can give us a call because we want to talk to you. We just played some of your stuff. That's one of the veterans. We're going to talk about cross-check. We're going to talk about the Jones Act. We're going to talk about the failed ACA vote. We're going to talk about they want to cut taxes now, okay? But the taxes they want to cut is inherited tax and other taxes, okay? How many poor people's inheriting millions and millions of dollars? And what is $1,000? But let's go through the NFL with D Knows in the fastest 3 minutes in history.
Baltimore's Ravens quarterback Joe Flacco. Nobody's trying to pick sides. We're trying to stand by each other as brothers. Obviously, there's a big-time African-American influence in the NFL, and those guys want to show support for their communities. And that doesn't mean they're picking sides. It just means they're showing support for their communities, just like any of us would. And our message is to stand by everybody on the team in unity and respect each other. Baltimore Ravens tight end Benjamin Watson. We've talked about it as a team. We love each other in that locker room. We support each other in that locker room. That's a few days from now. Right now, we're focused on the Steelers, as we should be preparing for them. And when that comes, just know that we always support each other with whatever we do. Baltimore Ravens head coach John Harbaugh. I understand that there are injustices in our country and across the world. Our players understand that as well. But it's really important to make it clear that our players have great respect and great appreciation for the military, for the police, for the responders, first responders that give so much to all of us every single day. Kneeling Cowboys debunked popular fake news meme featuring Jerry Jones. For nearly a year, there was a meme floating around the internet that crawled under the skin of Dallas Cowboys ownership. It was a perfect fake news frame-up featuring a splashy mythical quote from team owner Jerry Jones, reportedly threatening to fire any players who knelt for the national anthem. It was effective, reaching so far across the social media that other NFL players asked some Cowboy counterparts if Jones had actually said it. He hadn't, of course, but it didn't stop one idea from going in the social media either. Of all owners in the NFL, surely Jerry Jones would never allow his players to use their NFL stage in a form of protest. Then came Monday night when Jones and his Cowboys players found a way to wipe all of the myths in one motion, lined up perfectly armed lock, dropping to one knee at midfield on Monday Night Football before the national anthem. A few seconds later, they stood again for the anthem, having unified to try and serve 2 goals. a united need to promote the push for justice and equality, a united stand to support those whose sacrifices made that push possible. In fact, participating athletes in several sports have been pretty clear that taking a knee is meant to protest police brutality and systemic racism. Colin Kaepernick, who started the movement roughly a year ago when he was a quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers, opened up almost immediately about his reason for not standing during the national anthem. I am not going to stand up to show pride in a flag for a country that oppresses black people and people of color, Kaepernick told NFL media in August 2016. To me, this is bigger than football, and it would be selfish on my part to look the other way. There are bodies in the street and people getting paid, leave, and getting away with murder.
Now, that was D Nose took us around the NFL in 3 minutes. Now, Tone the Stone, I don't think that I'm not burning no jersey. I'm gonna let you know that right now. I'm not burning my jersey.
Got a nice collection of them.
That's right. I'm not burning my jerseys. I'm sorry, people. I don't care what side you on. I pay too much money for my jersey. But you know, Saxman is down there. We're gonna talk to Saxman on the street because we got some things we want to talk about anyway. Did you see that? Before we go, did you see that video in Huntington Beach?
Before I answer that, I just want to say that was some nice background music that D-Nose had on her segment. It sounded almost like some old Miami Vice music.
Oh, that's right.
Soundtrack music right there.
We set the stuff out right there. But right there, I'm getting the signal here is going to the top of the hour. So let's we got to go pay some bills. So everybody, we're going to reset back up. We're going to go pay some bills. We're going to go into the top of the hour. We're going to see our main man, Saxman, and we're going to talk about injustice in America. And we're going to talk a lot about Puerto Rico, the ACA, and about you taking care of your responsibilities and going out voting. So we're going to be right back.
AP Radio News. I'm Ed Donahue. Acting Homeland Security Secretary Elaine Duke says the government is doing the best it can to respond to the hurricane victims in Puerto Rico.
The relief effort is under control. It is proceeding very well, considering the devastation that took place.
Besides shortages of power and water, there appears to be shortages of money as well, with long lines at banks in Puerto Rico. In the banks that are open. President Trump's chief economic advisor, Gary Kahn, says the middle class is the focus of the president's tax overhaul proposal.
Our tax plan is aimed to return more income back to hardworking Americans. That's what we're trying to do here.
But at the White House, Cohn avoided a question about whether President Trump will benefit from this.
I told you it will benefit the middle class. I think that's what American taxpayers care about, what they take home. They care about what they have to spend.
Back at work today on Capitol Hill was Louisiana Congressman Steve Scalise.
I'm definitely a living example that miracles really do happen.
Scalise was shot and seriously wounded on a baseball field near Washington back in June. A voice on an audio recording claiming to be Islamic State group leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi called on followers to burn their enemies everywhere and target media centers of the infidels. There had been earlier reports al-Baghdadi may have died. There's some encouraging news on the economy. It helped keep stocks higher today. More from the AP's Mike Hempen.
The Commerce Department says that's the fastest pace since the first quarter of 2015, when the economy grew at an annual rate of 3.2%. Larger farm stockpiles are responsible for the April to June expansion of the gross domestic product. Economists, though, think growth has slowed to about 2% this quarter, mainly due to the impact of Hurricanes Harvey, Irma, and Maria.
Wall Street, the Dow finished up 39 points. This is AP Radio News. The star of HBO's Veep is announcing she is facing a serious health challenge.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus has breast cancer. She has revealed the news on her social media accounts, messages that have been confirmed by her representatives as legit. The star of Veep and of Seinfeld posted on Twitter that 1 in 8 women get breast cancer, and now she is that one. The actress notes that she is fortunate to have a glorious group of family and friends to support her, and also has what she calls fantastic health insurance. She notes that unfortunately unfortunately, not all women are as fortunate, and she urged people to make universal health care a reality. I'm Oscar Wells Gabriel.
Tonight in the NFL, the Chicago Bears visit the Green Bay Packers. The spotlight is likely to again be on the national anthem before the game, after President Trump criticized players in the NFL who take a knee during the anthem. I'm Ed Donahue, AP Radio News.
Napa know-how.
Any car brave enough to withstand a decade's worth of multi-state family voyages is worth treating to some quality parts and Napa know-how. Coolant for the Death Valley trip, wiper blades for the Pacific Northwest, air fresheners for the Southwest chili cook-off. Yeah, with some quality parts and a little Napa know-how, you can keep your road warrior running longer, stronger, for many more vacations to come. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
You're listening to STMK Radio 100.
Hey, Thirst, can I try out a few Coke Summer sound effects on you? Yes. Cool. You okay with this? Yes. And this? Yes. And what about this? Yes. Ha! Gotcha there, Thirst. That wasn't sound effects. That was a Coke. I'm no longer thirsty. You're so out of here. Coca-Cola. Open happiness.
We're here asking people from all over what they think of Lipton green tea. Let's hear what people from Texas have to say. How about China? Germany? How about people from the North Pole? Or Mars? What about mimes? Oh, right. People with their jaws wired shut? Yeah, a barbershop quartet. Oh, you guys are great. How about race car drivers? What about you, high school glee club, here on a field trip? Well, that settles it. It sounds like everyone loves the taste of Lipton green tea. With its protective antioxidants from real tea, it's not just good for you, it's to you. Lipton tea can do that.
STMK Radio 100. You're listening to Stop the Madness. Keep it 100 with your host, Sean L., Let, and Tone the Stone on STMK Radio 100.
Racism exists in this country. African American community is not delusional about this. What is happening in Charlotte is not just about Charlotte, it's about Tulsa, it's about Cleveland, it's about Baltimore, it's about Ferguson. It is about the fact that racism exists in the DNA of America, and the only way that we're going to deal with it is to confess our sins. It didn't start with police and it doesn't end with police. It is the entire system. And as an African American mother of an African American son who is a law enforcement officer, who has been racially profiled throughout his life, who does wear a badge and a gun, who I do worry about on both ends, let me just tell you this. We have to deal with these issues in a very real way, and the African American community is sick and tired of the same sad song being played over and over and over and over again. And just like novelist James Baldwin and activist James Baldwin said, he said to be black in America and to be relatively conscious is to be in a rage all the time. And when we have leaders who don't don't even want to acknowledge that we have institutional racism in this country, political, economic, financial. We have to admit that, and we have to do something about it.
They're upset by this. The problem that these young men were protesting, that Colin Kaepernick took a knee, that Michael Bennett took a seat for. It affects the football team because they're young black men.
On a Free Fall Thursday, let's go into the chat room with Dino's Tone the Stone. We got a lot of smoke up in there. Let's ask D. D, what's happening in the chat room? Are they letting their opinions show?
Well, Chanel, the chat room is on fire, and here are some of their opinions. Fighting for life. Sometimes all it takes is open communication without the name calling that Loomis did. Nice to see. At Puggers, learn more about what the flag stands for, then talk about ignorance and disrespect. SMH. As has been said numerous times before, the players are within their rights. You may not agree, but they're neither ignorant or disrespectful. Hoodrat 88, it's their right. All the rest of your rant is meaningless. It's their right. You're telling me to go away when you replied to my comment? LOL, truth hurts. Then I guess you know it's their right. Old guy, this, it's their right, is a meaningless comment. If it is in the Millionaire Browns players' right to protest, it is everyone else's right to protest their protest. It's your right to go to public square and hit yourself in the face with a cream pie too, but it is still stupid and misguided, much like the Browns players' arrogant actions, and it's everyone else's right to point that out. Simple. You're kidding, right? It is their right, just as the Browns administration has admitted. As a business owner, I can wear whatever shirt I choose, and so can my employees. 60 Watt. No white officers were selected to participate. Gary Cantor. I've corrected that for you. No white officers would participate. The Swam. Loomis and his white supremacist followers are missing an opportunity to move the country in a healing direction. Real Deal 101. We need to continue to talk about it, continue to evolve it, and come up with the best ways that we feel that we can make a difference and make an impact. And on the lighter side, Funny Side 88. Wife, what you doing? Husband, nothing. Wife, you did that yesterday. Husband, I wasn't finished. And that's what's happening in the chat room with D-Knows.
The majority of contacts made with citizens are calls for service. Others are officers patrolling the community to make it safe. And they serve the profession well as being good policemen. And we also have some bad apples. Cowards that hide behind the badge and make all the good officers. Department and officers know who they are. It's time. The trust that we have worked so hard to establish. Houston Police Department has one such officer, Michael Amiot. He has numerous documentary reports and videos of use of force since 2014. To be more specific, Officer Amiot has over 18 use of force reports on the last suspect that he has arrested. When you add the report and investigation conducted by the Atlanta Police Department and subsequent resignation in lieu of firing, this officer has shown a clear pattern and practice of abuse of power against citizens of many communities. Why is Officer Amiot's well-documented past not being used against him? In plain language, officers should not be able to wear a badge in any department in order to make the community safe from this bad apple coward that hides behind the bag. It's time for the media officers across the country to speak up about the bad apple.
Welcome back, Tony Stone. That was the great Marvin Cross, retired commander for the city of Cleveland and ex-security of the Cleveland Cavaliers. On the phone with us is our man out on the beat, Saxman. Everybody in L.A. is waiting for you, baby. Well, I mean, what's up with you and your follow on there?
Oh my God! What can I say? I'm dealing with a lot of craziness on the job, but hey, man, I'm Saxman. I'm strong.
Hey, well, that's what you get paid the big bucks for, right?
Yeah, that's what I get paid to do.
But Tony Saxman, Russell Wilkins is stuck on the I-10. You know, he want to know if you can come give him an escort.
Again, how many times a week this man gets stuck on that?
That's that California traffic,
That's the California traffic. 3 hours there, 3 hours back.
You better give him a pilot's license to get him a little Cessna or something.
But Saxman, we want to go. Last week they posted a video. You seen that video from Huntington Beach, right?
Yeah, I've seen that crazy thing.
Where the guy attacked the police officer. Well, we put the whole video up. The AP finally released the whole video. That's something I want to say about social media. Only releasing part of the video because they made it look like that police officer shot the guy down because the guy jumped on him. You know.
Sean, that's the media's whole agenda. Is to
well, I'm not gonna say the media, Saxman, because that was social media.
I'm gonna say it for you. They look at the demonize the police and they do it in a way that is unfair. They only show partial video, partial truths of it, and then we gotta go do our snooping investigation to pull up the real truth to exonerate that police officer. And that's a shame that the man gotta go through all that crap because of the media's BS. It's not fair. It's not fair at all.
Well, Saxman, you know it's a flip side to that coin, though, man. Yeah.
Oh, it's always a flip side.
Yeah. So why you go? So why you gonna take sides? What was we listening to earlier when they said we're not gonna take sides? You can't take sides, Saxman. Of course, there's some media and some people going to try to make every incident of every situation with a cop. They're gonna try to shine a bad light on the police.
Wait,
just like the police.
Tone, wait a minute, Sax, wait a minute, hold on, because everybody waiting for this, so just give me 1 minute.
Oh, no. Did you say that?
All right, y'all go ahead and go back at it.
I know what Saxman be trying to do. This is what I want to know. Does Marvin Cross? No, Sax. This is what I want to know. Does Marvin Cross know that you and that Amiat Euclid officer that y'all BFFs?
Does Marvin Cross know that me and the Euclid officer, the one that did that thing to that black kid, is BFFs? Is that what you trying to say?
Yes.
Yeah, best buddies, best friend, whatever that is.
Best friends for life. Does he know that's your BFFs?
Listen, Tone. I am BFFs to every law enforcement officer out here.
And not only that, Tone. Not only that. Wait a minute, Tone. Saxman has a video out. Saxman, you got to show him that video of Bruce Lee style. Okay.
Hold on. But did you hear what this man just said? He said he's BFFs with every. So just because they wear a badge, they got your full support and backing, right? Even if they are evil, ruthless, heartless, hateful, white supremacists, they still got your back and support. And that's what you just said. With a badge and a uniform on. Even if when they go home, they hail Hitler, they sieg hell or whatever the hell they do, they still got your full support and backing because they wear that uniform.
I'm going to say it again. Did you hear me say this? I got the backing of every police officer that's out there risking his life, him and her, doing their job correctly and properly. I got their total support.
No, that's not what you said at first. Okay, you want to switch it up and make it sound right.
Round one goes to the Sax. Round one goes to the Sax.
Why? Because he threw it. That's an illegal blow.
Y'all cut me off.
Because
you cut me off, I didn't get to finish saying it. I was getting to that point, and you cut me off, Chuck. You do that to me all the time.
Round two to the Sax.
Look, man. Look, I don't even. You know what? Because I said this a few weeks ago. I know what you be doing, man. You be trying to antagonize me. When I know better than to choose sides in these matters. I do get mad. I do get upset about a lot of the stuff that goes on because I know just as well as you are. But there's a lot of injustice going on, and you know the citizens. I was thinking earlier, you know how people always say how these people are crooks, these people are criminals. If they're criminals, then arrest them and take them to jail and charge them with a crime. Don't shoot them dead, you know. Now with this case in Huntington Beach, maybe maybe that was the way. Maybe he was justified to escalate it.
Well, he had escalated. The guy took a knife from him. I'm guaranteeing you that's a knife.
But I understand it. And even after he had already tased the guy and the tase had no effect on him, so maybe there was no other alternative that he could have came up with. But that's one example. That's one example out of the last.
But Tone, let me say this.
And forever.
I don't think
forever.
I don't think that young officer would have went to deadly force had he not took his knife.
Yeah, no, he wasn't about to. He had him down. He won the fight. He had already won the fight.
Once he took that knife off his belt, that changed the whole story.
Right.
So I'm gonna have to go with that.
Right.
But,
I'm not saying that he did nothing wrong in this situation. I'm saying this is the one time that you guys are gonna get me to say that
Saxman,
he didn't do anything wrong.
Round 3, the young man broke down. Round 3 to the Sax. You having a good day today. But Saxman, wait a minute. But in the chat room, Saxman, hold on, because in the chat room, somebody said you was going to explain that. I wanted to hear this one too, because somebody see the chat room's coming back to me, and the chat room said that you're supposed to explain what taking the knee is and what's really going on there. And I want to hear from the law enforcement side of you.
Well, coming from law enforcement, I can't see law enforcement playing a part in it. It's just as a patriot, as an individual. But me as a police officer and as a soldier, United States Army, I would never disrespect the flag. I fought, I served, so people like them can exercise their right to protest. So I'm never going to shit on no one or protest anything they got to do with the United States unless it's injustice. Now I'll protest injustice, but the American the anthem, oh come on man, go play ball. That's all I gotta say. Stand there, salute, whatever, play ball, get out there, and make that money, make us happy. As far as what it has to do with the police or anybody else, it's an individual feeling. It's how you feel individually about it. The injustice of this world.
So you burning your?
It ain't enough. It's no injustice.
Are you burning your? Well, are you burning your jersey?
Am I burning the Cleveland jersey? Yeah, it's on. It's done.
See, wait a minute.
That Bernie Kosar jersey.
Wait a minute. Let me tell you something, Sax. I was with you. I was with you until you had to bring my Browns in it. Now you got a problem. Nobody talks about my Cleveland Browns, okay?
Hey, man,
and the Cleveland Indians, the Cleveland Indians, we got some Cleveland Indians players in the chat room. Hey, welcome. Come to show the brothers some love.
100 wins today.
Right, 100 wins. James, give us 1 minute. We got the Saxman on the phone, and then when we get him off the phone, you can give us a call back in because we're going to open up the line.
You guys throw me around.
Wait a minute, Saxman, wait a minute. We're gonna do one. Okay, James, you in the chat room. Give us 1 minute. We got Saxman, and we get ready to run him off, and we're gonna come back. Saxman, I want to ask the question here that everybody talking about. The governor in Puerto Rico is asking for martial law. What is that? What is martial? Can you explain to us what martial law is? And what's going on?
When you have civil unrest in your town, your state, or whatever, the governor can issue martial law, which is a curfew. You got to be off the streets at a certain hour, or you can be arrested if you're out doing anything. It's civil control. It's control of your population because it's getting out of control.
But now let me ask you this: when they declare martial, not to cut you off, but when they declare martial law, does that mean the military code of justice take over as law, not civil law, but the military law takes over on everything?
Well, the governor can militarize, can bring in the military at any time, especially when he calls for martial law. So it is possible.
But what I'm saying that like speeding or whatever the military code of justice. That's what they're following instead of following regular law. Oh, okay. That's what they asking in the chat room. So, James, I see you back in the thing. We're gonna get rid of Saxman because we're gonna go.
Look at you.
We gonna go. Hey, everybody want to come on to the show, Saxman. You know you got to come into the studio, but we know that you are on the street talking to the people, and we know we appreciate you, baby.
Sax, it's time for you to make your donut run anyway.
Oh, Sax, round 4, go to toe.
Sean, you supposed to get him for that, Sean. You told me if Tone get out of hand and start talking crazy, that you was gonna get him from because I'm not in the studio to get him. I can't get it.
Well,
I can't reach you get it. You said you was gonna get it.
Saxman, our man on the beat, Saxman, we get ready to get rid of you, and we're gonna give you get back with you, and you have a nice evening out there, and stay safe and watch your 6, my brother.
Yes, sir.
Be good, Sax.
All right. Hey, everybody, that was Saxman, our man on the beat. But what we want to talk about right now, and James, we just cleared the phone. You can give us a call back in because this is only going to take a second right here. We want to talk, since we brought Puerto Rican in and the governor's asking for martial law. Puerto Rico was hit with 2 hurricanes back to back. And Donald Trump refused to waive the Jones Act, and nobody really know what the Jones Act is. But I want to play Donald Trump in his own words yesterday before he got all this heat and backlash.
Well, we're thinking about that, but we have a lot of shippers and a lot of people and a lot of people that work in the shipping industry that don't want the Jones Act lifted, and we have a lot of ships out there right now.
Now, you heard him in his own voice. And from Cleveland, Ohio, on the phone with us is James. James, how you doing tonight?
Hey, Sean, Saxman, Tone, what's up, guys?
What's up, James?
Hey, but hold on for 1 minute, James. Everybody, you heard Donald Trump himself says that he wasn't going to waive the Jones Act because the shippers and them didn't want him to. So he put big business in front of people who were suffering.
Humanitarian.
Right. Now, the Jones Act is an obscure century-old law that requires all goods ferried between U.S. ports to be carried by ships built and owned and operated by Americans. They waived the Jones Act for Houston, for Florida, okay, but refused to do it for Puerto Rico, and they refused to do it when Sandy hit up in the New Jersey area, okay. But some Democrats, along with Republicans, threatened to pass a law outlawing the Jones Act and making it impossible for the president to stop them to do that. And the Jones Act was established back in 1920, and it was meant back then to give the Americans the edge over the shipping vessels. So, James, what's happening with you?
Hey, what's going on, Sean? Hey, let me touch on a couple things real quick. You know and I know there's at least 5.6 million people, American citizens right now suffering as a result of these hurricanes that have bombarded Texas, Florida, now Puerto Rico. Now, you certainly bring up an interesting point. The island of Puerto Rico, where there are nothing but people of color, they are in the worst condition behind any natural disaster that Americans have ever experienced. Trump clearly he plays race card every opportunity he can, and the only reason why he don't want to get rid of that Jones Act is because he's a racist. I'm going to say it. I'll say it, and I'll continue to repeat it over and over and over.
Well, his action speaks for itself. I'm going to have to say that. If you look at his actions, my mother already told me when a person tell you who they are, believe them.
This man, he spent quite a bit of time condemning the National Football League, and I found out some interesting things about that. I don't know if you realize he used to be an owner of a football team in the U.S.
or something
Right,
like that.
the defunct league, the United States
Right.
Football League.
Right.
Also,
And
also not to
go
cut you
ahead.
not to cut you off. Since you bring that in, let me bring the audience in with you. Not only was he an owner in the defunct league that they thought was going to take over the National Football League, the NFL owners, his peers, refused to let him in the club. That. Okay, go ahead, James. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Trump is a weirdo.
No, no, that's fine, and I'm glad you mentioned that because that's exactly what was his motivation was to take over the NFL. You know, he invested like $5 million into this football team, and then he wanted to merge the USFL into the NFL. Well, the NFL wasn't amenable to that. So what he did was sue the NFL, okay, hoping that he was going to get all these billions of dollars as a result. What he got was what he was awarded. He did win his case, so he was awarded $1 plus triple damages. So he got $3 plus interest, $3.76 he won. Trump was humiliated, okay? He was humiliated, and now on this day, he has an opportunity to take an issue or try to change a narrative from Colin Kaepernick, who was protesting, rightfully so, against the way the unanswered murders of unarmed black men.
Well, let me ask you this, James, because I know for a fact people right now, this young man right here is out of the 216, the land, and he speaks his mind. So we don't have no problem about it. If you're going to hear it, he's going to tell you. But let me ask you this question right here. Everybody was pointing to America's team. I know you heard the narrative, so I'm going to bring it to you. That Jerry Jones threatened to fire anybody who kneeled down in his stadium. And they had in Vegas, they had a 1,000-to-1 bet that the Cowboys wouldn't kneel down. Now, everybody's seen Jerry Jones come out with his team, okay, and he's trying to play two sides against the middle here. And this is where my question is going to you. He kneels down and throws the police under the bus for police brutality, but then he stands up for the American flag to get all the good old boys and everybody on Trump's side to stay with him. How can you play both sides of the field?
Well, you know, this is America, and people are free. You know, when we take oath, and whether you're in law enforcement or whether you're in the military, you do not take an oath to honor a flag. You do not take an oath to honor a song. You took an oath to the Constitution of the United States.
Yes, that's correct.
And in that it infers you are free. You are free to burn the American flag. You are free to kneel or lay down, for that matter, during the national anthem. There is nothing that compels any American to be patriotic. If you look at Iran or if you look at North Korea, I assure you, you will be compelled to whatever their standard is. That is not freedom.
Or you'll be deaf.
There you go.
Deaf is there. But in the chat room here, in the YouTube live chat room, Facebook is with us. In the YouTube live chat room, there's something that they're talking about right there. And I want to bring the audience into this conversation because everybody keeps saying that the country was built on protest and the Boston Tea Party. And I want to correct that. I want to give everybody a education school. No, the Boston Tea Party was built off when British troops shot unarmed protesters in the square of Boston. And that is the same thing that Colin Kaepernick protest is built up on, the murder of innocent or the murder of unarmed people, whether he's right or not, but that's the basis of his protest. And when we come down to what our country stands for, it is, number one, the liberty to question your government. And that's what the veterans, because we played that earlier, what veterans said. And in the chat room, it really broke my heart when people took sides and started talking about veterans. This veteran didn't know what he wanted done. He should have never came home. But James, you was over in Vietnam, weren't you?
Yeah, I'm a Vietnam era vet. I wasn't in Vietnam. I was moments away from it.
Okay.
But we were never deployed.
Now let me ask you this question, because I tell everybody to watch the PBS series on Vietnam, because you will better understand what's going on today, because that was the era most likely aligned to what we're going through right now, with the government lying to you, wars that they know they can't win, that they're keeping us in. The same people that was throwing paint and spitting on the soldiers are the same ones now being patriots. Okay.
Well, I find that humorous to a certain point, because there are plenty of Americans who are complaining about, you're kneeling during this song, and rest assured, I'm willing to bet big money on this, that half of them didn't serve, that half of them never put a uniform on to serve or protect this country, that half of them kept their children out of harm's way, yet they're going to profess this idea that they're patriots in some shape, form, or fashion because they believe in this or believe in that. Patriotism goes way beyond believing in a flag or believing in a song. A song which, in fact, talks, in fact, about slavery. You know, what Trump has effectively done is change the narrative of the problem at hand. The problem at hand is the systematic murder of unarmed African American men in this country who are killed for some for selling a cigarette, a child carrying a toy gun playing cops and robbers in the park. You know, these are tragedies,
and what
it affects human life.
And not only that, I want to bring something back around to you, because you're hitting a point on something. What administrators, classic example that's going on in Euclid right now, Michael Emiot, he has 18 cases of use of force, and the last case is questionable. Okay, I'm going to say that. I know where you stand, Tone, so we're not going to blow it up right there, but I'm going to say it's questionable that he was right. But they're trying to go back and use his previous cases, and I don't think that's right. Okay, but why are they not? The news media is not using those cases to define him as they do everybody else? Is the question? Is that a double standard?
Well, let me say this, and Tom may disagree, but on each individual case, you have to deal with the totality of the circumstances at the time. What happened in the past cannot possibly impact what happens today. That is being fair. But when you talk about justice, when you talk about the justice system, certainly if there's a pattern of behavior that is developed over time, and you can illustrate some wrongdoing, that's fine. But at the moment of the crime, at the moment of the issue at hand, you have to deal with the totality of the circumstances, the facts of that particular case. It's nice and convenient for people to go back and say, oh, he did this back in 1984, and here we are in 2017. What relation does that have unless you can show a pattern of behavior? You know, everything. You know, it's just an opinion.
So in this case, James, he shows a pattern of behavior of excessive force, or whatever the term may be.
Well, Tom, Minner fired him, so I think it goes to the point of if Minner allowed him to resign in lieu of being fired. I think that Euclid owes its community the responsibility to thoroughly check officers, because most suburbs, and James, you know this, those suburbs was used to doing what is known as the broken bottle, broken window enforcement. Okay, and there's nothing wrong with that because they had a reputation to keep the unwanted and bad people out of the community. Okay, and when you train officers like that, it's hard to stop that enforcement. Okay, because that's all they know. And we have to understand the outer ring suburbs are now your inner cities. Okay, everybody's leaving Cleveland and being pushed out into the suburbs. So that policing attitude has to change. Okay, and it's not that the police officer is wrong. What we have to do is come back and retrain them that no, we don't want you to do the broken window effect no more. You have to do community policing.
Well, I mean, I don't. That might be policy, or that might have been policy, but it also boils down to individuals' mentality. Like some guys on the force, they're there for the action, and and some of them they don't know how to control themselves.
Well, when you train a warrior,
yeah, I mean, I said, I'm a veteran too, and I remember being in the Army, listening to some guys talk. I did this training with some, it's called Robin Sage. It's a phase of the Special Forces training where we do role playing. Little regular soldiers like me come in and we role play like third world refugees in the Special Forces candidates. They exercise all their training, show, the instructors what they've learned throughout their training. But I remember sitting there with some guys, Special Forces training, like during the break, and these guys were sitting there talking, man, like casual conversation, like while we were sitting there eating our MREs, just talking to each other, man. I haven't killed anybody in a year. Like they were antsy about it, like they were anxious to get back into a fight. Like it's some guys like that, and some of these guys they come home and they serve on a police force. These guys need special evaluations and special assessment. These people need to be watched.
Well, I'm gonna say this, and James, you're a veteran, and I talk to veterans. Any veteran that's been in a war zone should not be allowed to come home to do anything except go fish.
Okay, right. Yeah,
okay,
I agree with that.
because I'm going to say this, you train a killer.
Mm-hmm.
It's never going to leave them. You look at the special forces over in Vietnam; they had special units that went into the bush for months behind enemy lines, and all they did was kill. Mm-hmm. How can you bring a man that is used to cutting somebody's throat when he say boo, or walking up killing a whole village of kids, women? I'm talking about that was their job, to wipe this village out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's no, as I was watching the series yesterday, as one Westmoreland's lieutenant colonel told everybody, there's no friendlies here. Okay, and you got an 18-year-old kid that's over here for 365 and a wake up. That's for you, James, because you know what that means. And he's killing every day, every minute of the day. He's killing to stay alive. When he comes home, we can't put him on a police force.
Right.
We can't put him dealing with people. We can't put him as a fireman. We need to give him enough money to buy his house, put him on a farm. You go fishing, you take care of the animals, and you relax. Mm-hmm. Okay? That's the problem we having now with our veterans. My brother, and I'm going to say this, was a Vietnam vet. And when he lost his life, he could not come back and cope with society.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And I watched him through his problems. I wasn't old enough to do anything about it, but I can remember now from talking with the vets. And that's what's wrong with America. America.
Well, go ahead, Sean.
No, I was saying America is not taking care of our vets. Mm-hmm. We expect a person that, and our police officers, I'm going to say this too because they did me when I was on the police force after 9/11. They start training us to kill terrorists, okay? And when you put somebody's mind set that he's going to die, you got to kill him, and you got to do this, and you got to do that, that affects decisions being made by that individual. And I think that we have to understand that maybe America needs to go into special training like SWAT officers and training special units to deal like New York does. With everybody can't deal with the New York Special Response. They have special people dealing with that. Maybe we need to move into that area. And James, you're out there every day in the field. So what do you see that the community needs to do to change their attitude toward policing?
Well, I'm not sure if there's a real answer to that, Sean. I think there needs to be more dialogue between the community and law enforcement, number one. You hit several points. One being, especially those who have been trained to kill. When I was in the military, the thing was you kill or you be killed. And that certainly was a wake-up call for me because you certainly want to live and be able to come back home to your family. And another point you raise is dealing with possibility of having to deal with terrorists. That's a whole different. That's beyond dealing with a criminal. That's a different mindset that you have to be in. You have to be prepared to kill. You have to make that decision, and you may have to make a sacrifice to deal with that type of threat. Insofar as the police and the community, the only thing that I can possibly suggest is that there should be community meetings, more community meetings where parents, or even children, if for that matter, young adults, sit down and have that dialogue. Get some buy-in to what's going on within that particular community. People talk about black-on-black crime as an example. Everything starts from within. And if we cannot police ourselves, how can we expect somebody else to come in and police it for us?
Right, and that goes back to the example we was talking about earlier when and I always say this, and I've been saying this almost a year now, because next month, everybody, Facebook Live, YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat, 1 year on the road as the #1 best talk show on the web, and we're here. But this is what I've been telling everybody, community responsibility of going out voting, putting police officers back into schools with our young kids to build that program as we had before in Deer. That's the relationship. I remember in a mountain unit, a lot of people didn't like police officers, especially after the police on horses went up on Collinwood and ran them down, and during the tie-ins, and everybody was up there fighting and riding. And the department, sent us people who looked like them, Andre Cisco, myself, Patty Hassan, James Berry, Mary Kay Barron, O'Connor, Rev Ron. I mean, we had a race of all officers, Margaret Duran, and we went to different schools throughout the community. White officers went to black schools, black officers went to white schools, Puerto Ricans. We went around to show everybody that we had a mixture of officers, and we talked to the whole school with the DARE officers to build those programs. And that's where the relationships has to start, and we have to get back to that. We even have to get back, James, as you know, taking police officers. When I first started in law enforcement in 1979, they took us out of the police cars and made us walk beats.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that.
And the reason we walked beats was, if I'm walking a beat here, I know John, I know Tamir, I know the kids, I know what they do, I know who's doing it, where they playing at, and everything else. And plus, I form a personal relationship with the people in the community. Okay, I used to walk a one-man beat in Carver Park Projects. Okay, Cleveland Police Department went on strike when they was going to make that permanent. Me and Mickey Howrick had a community policing thing. I walked a one-man beat there on midnights. Okay, but I learned how to conduct myself in the projects. Okay, and it's called respect for the community. Instead of walking up, taking that guy's bottle and pouring it out and throwing it away, I walked up and said, "Hey man," because that's his last $3. You don't know what he had to do to get that. And I walk up and say, "Hey man, show some respect to the women and everybody. Put a bag on that and move on." They respected that. Okay, and that's what we need to get back into. Okay, is that relationship, and that's what we missing. Okay, I think that's what we missing. Police officers back in his own car, not having that personal touch with the community, so therefore they don't have that idea of what's going on in the community, and they don't have that feeling for the community. The second thing we're going to talk about, James, and I want to say this because it goes right to what we're going to go into, is the ACA, the failure of the Affordable Care Act repeal. And that's on the Republicans. But what I want to talk about is that everybody has to understand we need to open back up these hospitals and these mental wards, okay? We asking our police officers to do too much, okay? We asking them to be doctors, social workers, lawyers, and police the community. They can't wear 4 or 5 hats. Matter of fact, we might as well give them a wrench, James, and you might as well come over and do my plumbing and put my hot water tank in too. Okay? We asked them, I'm serious, everybody in the chat room. I know that everybody's laughing, but we're asking them to do too much. And that's probably the bigger problem of this whole situation, is that we're putting too much responsibility on our law enforcement officers instead of limiting their responsibility and bringing them back into a less road.
You know what? I will agree with you with that. And I've even told some officers, you know, in some of the scenarios, it might have been a bad exchange between me and officers, and you know, I'll say it, you know, with spite that they're out here taking their frustrations out on people. But that's part of the, you know, they're people just like everybody else, like all of us, you know, and they got stressful situations at home. They working hard doing all these jobs.
Well, they pick us aside
for the money. So they come to work mad and angry and frustrated and upset, and sometimes that clouds the judgment and they make bad decisions.
But I believe this too. The citizens should pay their law enforcement officers where they do not have to work extra jobs. I mean, you're paying football players. This where I think that the whole community needs to come back. You're paying football players $15 million to play 8 games or 16 games. That's what, 16 hours a year. Come on, 16 hours a year, and they don't even play. And you give them $20 million, but here it is, you're going to have a police officer working 18 hours a day, 5 days a week, and he still got to work part-time jobs, and you still asking him to come out into the community and be aware. You're not only putting his safety in jeopardy, you're putting your safety in jeopardy. I think we should be paying our law enforcement officers $200,000 and $300,000 a year so they can go home and enjoy themselves with their families. I'm just serious about that, and everybody need to think about that. But secondly, James, hey, I'd like to thank you for coming on the air as always, out of the land. James, thank you, bro. We get ready to move next week. You know we're going to have you back. We're going to find you because your wisdom is what we need. And you're making us the #1 talk show on the web. And I thank you for showing us all the love. Cleveland, Facebook, YouTube Live. That's James, one of our activist brothers in the 216. James, go ahead and say something before you leave us.
All right, Sean, I really appreciate the opportunity to vent, I guess, for lack of a better term. So a shout out to Tom, Saxman, you too, Sean L.
And let me tell you something. You're not venting, you are educating our young people in our community. Ladies and gentlemen, that was James from the 216. Hey, everybody, I'd like to thank you for being with us. You know that you can get on demand. You can get us on Mixcloud, SoundCloud, YouTube. We got 3 different Facebook pages, and you can go to stmkradio100.com and watch us. Also, we do Pluto and Plink TV, and we do Ustream TV. Tone the Stone, you know, we didn't even get to half of the stuff we was going to get into, and I love it when we get into the conversation and start talking. If you're doing anything out there, people, if you know anybody out there and they're doing something, stop the madness, keep it 100. We like to promote our community. We get the people in. I'm going to have James come in and sit with us one day in the studio. I'm going to talk to him about coming live in our private studio and sitting down with us and actually doing a show for 2 hours, and we're just going to talk and set it out. And, you know, Tone, I really appreciate everybody being here, but it is that time.
Man makes as big, I can't lose. Jigger bow down, I'm the next to rule, but I'ma stay on the cool, remain on the under, cause like Andre 3000, your boy's ice cold. Ain't no limit to the gimmicks and ways to make money. No limit to the just to act funny when you get that cake, cause you spit that way. They may love you tomorrow when they hate you today, but yo, that's the way the story goes, so I was told. Following the rainbow down the yellow brick road, please believe at the end ain't no pie to go. Just some platinum beats from the Cleveland streets. You ain't never
Ladies and gentlemen, that's Shawnee Mack who writes our music for us on our way out. Tony Stone, you know, as always, man, I'm glad you're sitting over there in the primetime chair. Hey, in one couple of weeks, October the 5th is our 1 year on the air. We're going to do a remembrance for our vice president. She was the start of all that, so we're going to do a show just for her, probably about the first hour, and we're going to put some stuff up. Tony Stone, what you got to say?
Oh, I want to shout out to our vice president. I want to say God bless her. We miss her so much. That's going to be a special show next week. I didn't know. I thought it was like 2 weeks away. I didn't know it was coming up that
Well, no,
fast.
it's going to be about 2 weeks.
Okay.
We're going to set it up. It ain't
The
next
5th
week.
is next week.
Oh, it's the 5th. Well, yeah, next week. You're right. It's going to be next week. We're going to do at least the first hour, half hour. We're going to do our remembrance for that show before we get into regular business. So, and that's going to be MP3, everybody. I want you to, if you're on Facebook, I want you to get off Facebook and I want you to go to our Ustream channel because you're really not experiencing our internet radio broadcast as it should be. If you click on Ustream and come in for free, you can not only hear what we're putting across internet radio, but you can also see what we're doing in the studio, and you would have a much, much better experience. But, Tone, I didn't mean to cut you off because you know it's almost that time.
Oh, no, like I was saying, I want to, say God bless her. We miss her. We love her. So that's going to be a very special show next week. And other than that, the same old, same old. Let's keep working on making it work.
We're going to make it work. I'm your host, Sean Ellis. I want you to know that we are here at STMK Radio 100 for you. You can send us emails. You can text us. You can call us on our home number. If you're doing something, if you know somebody writing a book, if you know somebody doing something good in the community, if you have anybody that has a story, we here. We're not regular radio. We are the best talk show on the web, and we will promote our community. Whatever you're doing, we promote it. We'll put you in the studio. We'll give you the airtime. It don't cost you nothing. Let's get together and make that change, and let's do everything for the better. As always, I'm your host, Sean L., and we're going to say good night.
You've been listening to Stop the Madness. Keep it 100 on STMK Radio 100.